Stay tuned for Airgun Detectives.
Welcome to another episode of Airgun Detectives. I'm your host, JC. Today, we get to take the mystery out of the brand new Umarex EMERGE Breakbarrel. We'll get into all those details in a second, but first do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button down in the corner. It doesn't cost you anything. It's absolutely free, but it really helps support the channel. And speaking of supporting the channel, check out my website, www.airgundetectives.com. On that site, I've got some rec scopes. I've got the Generation 2 bipods. However, I'm all sold out of these right now, but I have a new shipment coming in. Hopefully within a few weeks, I will have them. But if you guys are interested, just shoot me an email and I'll put you on a priority list for those. But they're currently out of stock, so we sold out of those. Anyway, I also have t-shirts. I've got hats. Those of you who shoot the Gamma rifles that have the cat or the sat trigger, I have the trigger screw kits for those. It'll turn those triggers into a mat style trigger. It really will. And very, very inexpensive, right around 10 bucks. So also check out my inventory. That's where I recycle, get rid of some of the old inventory that I have, the old air guns, and that affords me the finances to get some new stuff in here to review. Anyway, let's get back to the subject on hand, which is the new Umarex EMERGE. What is the Umarex EMERGE? This is a magazine-fed 12-shot break barrel. Comes in both .177 and .22. We're going to show you the 22 caliber today. So this is a gas piston. It's got fiber optic sights. It comes with fiber optic sights. It does come with a lousy 4x32 scope. And I mean lousy, non-adjustable, save your money. Don't even put those in the box. But I topped it with something else, and I'll talk about this scope because this thing is actually pretty amazing. But I'll talk about this in a little bit, but let's keep going on the rifle here. This rifle, as I said, does have open sights. So you've got your green fiber optic in the rear, and you've got your orange or reddish color one in the front. The rifle, it's not for the feeble. It's 9 pounds. It's a 9-pound rifle. It's 47 inches overall in length, and it's sporting a 21-inch barrel. The stock, solid, really solid synthetic, ambidextrous, so right and left-handers both, you can shoot this with no issue whatsoever. It does have a 2-stage trigger, and I'll get into that a little bit later too. Nice 2-stage trigger. They claim this will shoot about 1,000 feet per second with a light pellet in .177 and about 800 feet per second in .22 caliber. But we're going to test that out. We definitely are. As I said before, this has a magazine-fed break barrel here. And let me show you this magazine. It just comes off just like this. It's really, this is one of the coolest magazines and one of the easiest ones to use that I've seen in a while. So you can see it's got the little arrow here. You just turn that 180 degrees and the cover comes off, and guess what? There's your magazine. And I'm going to show you how simple it is to load this. I mean, look at, there's nothing to it. You don't even have to force them in. You just drop the pellets in. Just drop them in just like this. Just like that. And I'm doing this without glasses, guys. But I just want to show you how easy it is to load. See, so they just drop in just like this. There's no, again, no force in it. This is solid metal. It's like some type of a cast metal, but it's really heavy duty. And the good thing about these, you can get a spare one for 20 bucks. They're very inexpensive. Anyway, so as we load this magazine up, I just wanted to show you this real quick. I'm just showing you how easy it is. You just literally just drop them in. Okay, so there's 12 rounds. That holds 12 rounds. It's as simple as there's a little white arrow here on the top of the magazine. So we're going to start with the arrow down, and then you rotate it until those are lined up. That's it. And then this has a little magnetic piece this slides in right here, just like that. It's done. And close it. And each time you close it, it will advance the magazine. I have put quite a few rounds through this testing it, and flawless, no issues whatsoever. But I just love this magazine setup. There's just no hang-ups on it. But the bipods on this is my bipods. This was a perfect candidate for the Gen 2 bipods, as you can see. Got the rails there, Pickaninny rails. Trigger, we're going to get into that, but I'll tell you, this trigger kind of reminds me of the Diana T06 trigger, so you just might be surprised by the performance of this. All right, what did I top this with? This is one of Vector Optics' newest Orion series scopes. This is the Pro Max. It's a 6 to 24 by 50. It's got the 30 millimeter tube, and this is actually their rings too, 30 millimeter rings. But this thing has etched glass reticle, and it's also a lit reticle. It lights up in red. The very center does in red. It's pretty cool. It's a first focal plane reticle. That means as you increase the magnification, the reticle grows in size, so it becomes larger when you put more magnification on it. The cool thing about this scope, it actually focuses anywhere from 10 yards to infinity. You got zero stop turrets, really easy to use, and there's no better test, guys. I put it on a brake barrel because I wanted to test how durable this is, and we'll talk about this at the very end. But these scopes come with a 5-year warranty, and I'm going to give you more specifics at the end of this review, and I'm also going to tell you how it performed as we go through our testing. So pretty cool stuff. So let's go out and check out the performance. Again, it's been a while since I reviewed a brake barrel, and I just love brake barrels because they're self-contained. Everything's here. We don't need an outside air source. They're just so cool. They really are. So let's go ahead and move on, and we'll put this through our test, and we'll come back and talk about it. So stay tuned for the next segment. All right, let's test our Emerge over the chronograph, see what type of velocity we get. We're going to go ahead and shoot the H&N field target trophies. They're a 14.66 grain, so just under that 15 grain pellet. We'll shoot 5 shots, and I'm going to let you know how it did with another pellet off camera. So let's just shoot 5 shots and see how we make out. All right, shot number 1. Looks like 773. Shot number 2. 752. Now this is a brand new rifle. I don't even have probably 25 rounds through it, so it's going to deviate a lot. 767. All right, 2 more shots. 734. See, that one dropped a little bit because it's still breaking in here. All right, 1 more shot. 711. So it went down a little bit. All right, well anyway, check out the velocity and the foot-pounds of energy. We also tested a Barracuda 18. Barracuda 18. We averaged about 100 feet per second less than that. I think I had a high of about 680 with the 18 grain. And that gave us significantly a little bit more foot-pounds, as you can see there. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. Okay, let's test out our Emerge for some accuracy. And yes, this Orion scope, my goodness, it has some crystal clear glass. And it's good. It'll focus about 12, 15 yards and then beyond. So you get a crystal clear picture with this. But anyway, and it's holding up really well in this brake barrel. It really is. I've got about 200 rounds through this thing, and it's just holding, it's holding zero. All right, we're going to shoot our H&N field target trophies, 14.66 grain, and we're going to shoot at our 4-inch splatter burst. I'll leave you guys a link down below for that. But we're at our usual brake barrel distance. It's been a while since I've shot a new brake barrel. Anyway, we're at 20 yards. Go ahead and check that out real quick. You can see our little target there. All right, we're just going to shoot 5 shots, and we'll go from there. I already cocked the first one. All righty. That's 1. And 2. And 3. 4. One more. 5. You know, that's not a bad group. That is not a bad group. Don't forget, this is a sub $200 air rifle. And the trigger is absolutely really nice on that. There's no question about it. Wait till you do the test, see the testing on it. I'll talk a little bit more about it then. Scope. Couldn't ask for a better scope right now on something like this. This is great. This Orion scope, it really is. But anyway, there's our group. I'm going to guess it's somewhere around ½ inch, maybe a little bit more. Not too shabby, that's for sure. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. All right, let's test the trigger pull weight on our Emerge here. Now I got to tell you guys, for this price point, it's going to surprise you. This is probably one of the better triggers I've seen in this price point, really. This has a complete first stage and second stage adjustment. And I'm liking it a lot. I'm just curious. I have not tested this weight-wise, pull weight-wise. But let's see where it's at. But where I have it set right now, it's really a nice trigger. So we got our trusty Lyman trigger gauge. Let's see how we make out here. Exactly what I thought. 2 pounds, 1 ounce. 2 pounds, 1 ounce. Where do you see a break barrel nowadays that you can get out of the box, and other than the high-end ones, because this is your low-end price point for sure, that you can adjust a trigger down to 2 pounds? I mean, unbelievable. Yeah, it's a smooth, crisp trigger. I am absolutely pleasantly surprised with this. That's for sure. Anyway, there you go. Let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. All right, let's do a little plinking with our Emerge. We're going to go ahead and shoot the H&N field target trophies. These are the 14.66 grain, same ones we used in the accuracy test. They seem to perform pretty well. Fortunately, we got our Orion scope here. We are usual plinking distance. We're 40 yards back. Go ahead, check that out real quick. And you can see we got a big white ram there, some little eggs, little chicken. Let's just try our luck, see how well we do. I'm not making any promises. This thing does throw a flyer off once in a while, and I believe it's because it's still breaking in. I don't have a whole lot of rounds through it. So let's just see how well we do. All right. Might as well start with the big ram. All right. And how about a little egg? Yeah, that looks like a shot a little bit low. Yeah, let me aim a little higher. Yep, that's got it. And the next egg. And the next egg. And little chicken. Oh. Now that, I was aiming high on that. The pellet went exactly where I was aiming. So let's try this again. Not sure where that went. Yeah, like I said, I do get some flyers out of this. There we go. Yeah, occasionally I do get a flyer out of it, but I honestly believe it's still breaking in. What happens when it's breaking in, you're still getting a little bit of dieseling, and you don't get that consistent velocity. It changes velocity. When you change velocities, your point of impact changes. So I honestly believe that. So I'll keep shooting it. In fact, I'll keep shooting it, and we'll talk a little bit more about it during the conclusion. So stay tuned for the next segment. All right, let's wrap this up with our conclusion. How do you think the Emerge did? I personally thought it did really well. Also, I want to make a note. After the plinking session, because we were getting an occasional flyer there, I want to put some more rounds to it. So I put 150 rounds to this straight, nonstop. But, you know, at 12 rounds of magazine, it doesn't take long to do that. So the last 36 rounds, I shot 3 magazines, basically, at a 6-inch HD target. and I was roughly at 35 yards, and I was limited to only like 2 flyers out of that. And talking about flyers, they weren't much. I mean, look at the target. So this thing does settle down when you break it in. Pretty smooth, that's for sure. So negatives. The negatives I would have had to say would have been the occasional flyer. But then again, that kind of went away for the most part. The other negative I have is why bother with these little cheap scopes. This is just that 4x32 scope. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. You can put it in the box. Just save your money. We don't need that. All right, let's get into the positives because I've got a lot. First of all, let's talk about the price point of this rifle. You guys do know this runs well under $200. It's around $170, $180 right in that mark. And I'm going to tell you right now, you get a ton of rifle for that. So one of my top positives is this magazine. I love this metal magazine. I showed you guys in the beginning how easy it is to load, goes in and out, and they're reasonable. You want another magazine, it's 20 bucks. And it's all metal, and it slides in with a magnet, so easy. If there's anybody that has negatives on this, they have no idea what they're doing with this magazine because it's one of the easiest to load, easiest performers, and it just worked great for me. And I put a lot of rounds through it, that's for sure. The other thing on this, which I was really impressed with, and it's probably without a doubt the best Umarex break barrel trigger I have ever used. I think it's somewhat of a clone kind of the T05, T06 Diana, if you guys are familiar with that. So it's got both your first and your second stage. You can adjust it for pull weight. As you guys saw, I got this one down to around 2 pounds. That's what we tested. It was just absolutely perfect. Now, the only negative is if you get it down around 2 pounds or so, because you got to obviously turn the screws in quite a bit, the safety does not work. However, I figured out a way to correct that. And if you guys look at some of these pictures, there is a portion of the trigger assembly that rests against the actual safety latch. And so what you need to do, and if you look at it, it starts out, there's a little bit of curve in it. So you just take a Dremel with a little fine stone or sandpaper on it and take that little curve out of the front portion. Once you take that little curve out of the front portion, no matter where you adjust this trigger, the safety works. Seriously, it's like a 2-minute job. There's not much to it. Little Dremel right on there and it works perfect. And that's only if you're one of those that's like me that likes to really be picky with the trigger and get this thing really dialed in. Like I said, it's breaking at 2 pounds and the safety works perfectly now. So it wasn't much work to do that. But anyway, that's how you do it. Little Dremel on that area that rests against the safety. Real simple. Yeah, 2 pound trigger. Again, I'm going to tell you, this is one of the best triggers I've seen come out of an Umarex break barrel ever. It's probably the best ever. So thumbs up to them on that one. What else do I like about this? This had good power. We had a high at about 19 foot-pounds of energy, and we were getting pretty good accuracy if you saw. As I said, it improves with the more shots you put through it, which is good. I like the fact that this comes with the Picatinny rail for the scope, and I'm going to get into the scope here in a minute. I also like the fact that it comes with open sights. If you're one of those that likes to shoot open sights, you get the benefit of the magazine and the open sights. So that's pretty cool. And then it was a perfect candidate. This stock is so nice and solid. It was a perfect candidate for my Gen 2 bipods on here. So that was pretty cool here. So overall, I'm really liking this rifle. All right, let me talk a little bit about what we topped it with. This is the Vector Optics. This is the Orion 6-24 by 50. This is their HD scope. This scope is simply awesome. And how could you give it a better test than put it on a break barrel? Because you know what break barrels do to scopes. And I probably have a little over 400 rounds through this, and it's still holding zero. I love the fact that you can focus this at 10 yards. So if you're doing some backyard shooting or shooting in the basement, pretty cool. You can focus it all the way down to 10 yards to infinity. They also have scope rings. This is their scope rings, so these 30mm scope rings. The glass on this, simply amazing. crystal clear, and I love the eye relief. You got almost a 4 inches of eye relief, which is great. I don't like the scopes where your eye gets too close, believe me. The 4-inch eye relief is fantastic. And one of the best parts is this does have a 5-year warranty. So you can really test the heck out of it. If you have any issues, you've got that warranty that will cover you for you. I will have a link for you down below, and I also have a code for 10% off. And right now, they're on sale, and then you're going to get another 10% off that. So you're going to get this scope for right around that $200 mark. And I'm telling you, it's worth it. And I love the fact it's got the lit reticle too. So you can just have that little dot there kind of light up red. It just kind of makes that sight picture so perfect. So how would I rate this overall? Well, let's start with the rifle itself. The rifle itself, again, I've seen this for around $170. So it's well under $200. And for that, you're getting a fantastic trigger, you're getting good power, and you're getting a great magazine. So with that, they did have that occasional flyer, and then the fact I had to do a little modification to the contact area with the safety. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars, but it's definitely worth 4.5 stars. This is a really cool rifle. It is. Now, the scope, how would I rate this scope? Oh my God, I put it on a break barrel, and it's been holding 0. And it's got a 5-year warranty, so it gets 5 stars. The scope itself gets 5 stars. And again, I'll have a link for this down below. But overall, what a package. And then perfect candidate for my Gen 2 bipods, which I hope to have those back in stock soon. But just this overall combination is a heck of a rifle. It really is. And you know, just for fun, I'm going to tear this apart and tune it. Just do a little polish on it and lubricant on it. And I bet I even get even a better performance out of it. So anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Airgun Detectives. I really enjoy the fact that we got to review a new break barrel, which there's not too many of them that are coming out, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget, this is where we take the mystery out of the airgun. Until next time, I hope you and your families are doing great and you're getting plenty of shooting in. So take care and God bless.